Yeah, their filibuster is getting like 67,000 views on the live stream.
And I knew then and there that I really liked it.
But like, it's weird. Like, yeah, as chatters are saying, Megaphonics is right. It's not even a particular bill or nomination. They're just doing a long speech for PR. I just don't understand like why they didn't do this for the supposed clean continued resolution. If they filibustered in some bitches during the CR, this would be a fantastic opportunity. All eyes locked in. This would be great. Cory Booker's anti-Trump speech on the Senate floor has lasted 19 hours and counting. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, look, I'm not going to discount it. It's not the worst thing. I'm glad that they're like fighting, I guess. Even when they are, it just doesn't make any sense.
There are just several things that he said are just not true. He's still running on the tax cut for the rich. Not true. And most Americans understand it. And they believe that under the past administration.
I really hate Fox and Friends. I really, really hate it. It might be my least favorite program on television. It's just like objecting to observable reality every day of the week. That's all they do. All they do is just up is down, right is wrong. That's all they do. They just sit there and go, everybody knows it. This is wrong. It truly is mind-boggling. There is not a single point that they make that is correct. Not a single one. Why do we even watch it every day? Genuine question. Because Fox is one of the most successful broadcasters. It's the same reason why we watch Asmongold from time to time. You have to understand what your ideological enemies are saying and thinking in order to claw back your parents and your coworkers from the faucet of misinformation. You have to see what their notes are, where they're getting their notes from. This is why my entire career is overwhelmingly listening to right-wingers. And in that process, as a dedicated watcher of right-wing commentary, I have noticed that in the last couple of years, this has gotten significantly worse. Things have gotten spectacularly stupid. Genuinely. It's just, there's not too much you can say or do about a person that is getting their notes from Fox News is not living in the real world. They are living in a made-up universe. It's just, you know, there's no way that you can have a consensus.
When Donald Trump had his first term, that they got a tax break. They know that to be true. He also talks about the university campuses. So you're going to side with the people that are blocking the Jews from going to class right now? That's not going to work with the American people. And just over and over the talking points. If you want to get the American people attention.
Like every single thing he said is wrong, okay? He started out by saying everybody knows that it's just not true, that Trump is not looking for taxes to the wealthy. Yes, he is looking for taxes to the wealthy. That is precisely what he did his first term, and that's precisely what he said he's going to do the second term. I don't know why you would even deny this. That is precisely what he said, okay? Then he turns around and talks about university campuses, claiming that the students are blocking Jews from going to class. Also, not true. Completely not true. It's not happening. And members of this community were there every day. It's not true at all. Okay? They were in a they were in a public space in the middle of campus. They were not blocking Jewish students from going to class. It is made up.
With the people that are blocking the Jews from going to class right now, that's not going to work with the American people. And just over and over the talking points. If you want to get the American people attention, you don't do it on the floor of the Senate.
Wait, I'm sorry. And then he follows this up by hitting one of the dumbest points, which is to turn around and be like, you can't protest this way. This filibuster is not allowed. It's like, what are people supposed to do then? Just quietly whisper to one another what their discontent is with the administration? Like, what are we talking about? That's so funny. The Fox guy's saying he has like 50,000 viewers on YouTube, 58K on TikTok, and like 30K on Twitter. Yeah, I think this right here, even if it's like aesthetic resistance paired up with Bernie Sanders and AOC getting a lot of attention, a lot of positive attention, should be a reminder to every Democrat that like you have to fight back. You have to fight back against the Trump administration. In a world of Schumers, be a Booker. Oh my God.
That I have been imperfect. I confess that I've been inadequate to the moment. I confess that the Democratic Party has made terrible mistakes, that have given lane to this demagogue. I confess we all must look in the mirror and say we will do better. And it's not just defining ourselves what we're against. We, the next generation, as the baby boomers are leaving the...
Yeah, they're not even doing like a real filibuster because there's no motion. There's no quorum. There's no motion or bill that they're blocking. It's just they're taking space. That's what it is. Overall, I think I'm leaning on the side of this is not the worst thing. I am not going to yell at Democratic Party senators or any representative, really, for that matter, any congressperson for that matter, that is, at the end of the day, doing anything. I wish they were doing this in the appropriate moment, which was, 2 weeks ago. That would have been cool.
We have to excite people again. He, in the highest office of our land, wants to divide us against ourselves, wants to make us afraid, wants to make us fear so much that we're willing to violate people's fundamental rights. We're willing to go after the speech on college campuses. We're willing to go after law firms, go after the freedom of the press. Don't let him do that. Don't become like him. Be an American that says, I look to the future and I'm excited. Yes, things are tough right now.
Oh, God. I'm thinking about all the Democrats that love this, where they're like, this is so sick. This is, oh my God, it's making me quiver a little bit. Look, I said the same thing about AOC and Bernie's rallies. It's great that they are getting people excited. It's great that they're getting people excited. It's great that they're, getting people to turn out. But you got to use that people power. You got to take that momentum you have and that energy you have around your causes and your initiatives and move it into developing mechanisms of pushback, mechanisms of pressure, whether that be labor organizing, union organizing, community organizing, or whether that be individual issues that you give voice to.
We are a nation that is great, not because of the people that are trying to whitewash our history, to remove great people, Native Americans, black people, and women from our military websites. I don't want a Disneyfication of our history. I don't want to whitewash history. I don't want to homogenize history. Tell me the wretched truth about America, because that speaks to our greatness. And so what do I want to people to do? It starts with us, man, and you're doing it. I've seen courage of my colleagues. We're doing it, but we have to do more, and I'm sorry. I'm not going to be a politician that's going to say, we are going to do more for you. I'm going to be a politician. I'm going to be a leader that demands more from America.
Oh, God. My mom loves Cory Booker. She just texted me. Oh, no. Squishy liberalism is back. Oh, man. Okay. Everybody loves... Okay. This is a... I think people are so unimaginably desperate for any kind of motion, any kind of change, any kind of movement whatsoever from the Dems that, like, this is enough for them to get, like, libbed up on it.
And then all the reporters follow you around, Hillary Vaughn and everybody else. They go, okay, we got to get this interview. But just doing a filibuster saying, I really have no agenda, I'm just going to rail against the administration overnight. It's like I'm volunteering to do something when no one's watching. Right. So congratulations. I don't know who your PR guy is, but just go stay active.
He has been active. He's been going at it for 11 hours and 12 minutes. Today. But if he wants to break the record, he's got to go another 13 hours, because Strom Thurmond actually broke the record. He holds the record. He talked, filibustered, for 24 hours and 18 minutes back in
Nancy Pelosi
1957. Right. Strom Thurmond was railing against the Civil Rights Act.
Remember when Nancy Pelosi did it in those 4-inch high heels all night?
Right.
That's a workout.
But I will say this, next hour we will play that Strom Thurmond filibuster. We'll play the whole thing top to bottom.
Why is he laughing? Why are you laughing? You think that's funny? Segregationist Strom Thurmond's filibuster? What was he filibustering? Funny, huh? Why is that so funny to you? That's a funny joke? That's crazy. I'm sorry. A black news commentator on Fox News laughing about this douchebag being like, oh yeah, segregationist Strom Thurmond's filibuster is actually the record-breaking filibuster. What was he filibustering? Oh my God. How funny. Oh, that's right. He was doing a filibuster intended to prevent the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1957. Oh, that's funny. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Imagine being that racist, by the way. Imagine being that racist, where you were just like, no thanks. Didn't Strom Thurmond also literally have a half-black child too, like a secret child? Am I crazy? Yeah, Ezzie Mae Washington Williams was an American teacher and author. She was the eldest child of Strom Thurmond, governor of South Carolina and longtime U.S. senator known for his pro-segregation politics. Of mixed race, she was born to Carrie Butler, a 16-year-old African-American girl who worked as a domestic servant for Thurman's parents. And Thurman, then 22 and unmarried. Ezzie Mae grew up in a family of one of her mother's sisters. He did statutory on a black woman that worked for his family. Washington Williams did not reveal her father's identity until she was almost 78 years old after Thurman's death at the age of 100 in 2003. Hell is not hot enough for demons like this. Yeah, you know who eulogized him, by the way? That guy, this piece of shit. You know who eulogized him at his funeral in 2003? Joseph Robinette Brandon. That's who. Joe Biden loved this guy. Joe Biden also wrote a lot of the draconian laws in the 80s, 90s, and onwards. Destroyed the black community alongside this dip. American politics is so messed up. It's so messed up. It's so crazy. And liberals yelled at you for bringing this stuff up where you're like, maybe he's not the best guy.
Good idea.
But haha, very funny. He thinks it's funny.
People would love that.
Do that on your radio show.
Right. Oh, I can't do that. That would be a bad idea.
We're in the final 5 minutes of Cory Booker breaking the record that previously was held by segregationist Strom Thurmond against the Civil Rights Act. He is now at 100,000 live viewers.
They were creative artists of activism. They called.
Dude, libs are going crazy mode over this, by the way. They're locked in. They're dialed in. They love this. 140,000 on the Associated Press. The one good thing about this, I will say, is that there is appetite for a lot of people that want to see Democrats do something, anything. Now, of course, this is still, it's a optics play in general. And I hope the lessons that the Democrats learn from this isn't make an optics play with no tangible results, but instead to actually recognize that people are very angry. People have a lot of resentment towards this administration, and to organize and to mobilize. I do fear that liberals will only learn the wrong lesson from this.
I'm not here, though, because of his speech. I'm here despite his speech. I'm here because as powerful as he was, the people were more powerful.
Like, the irony is that Strom Thurmond did that for a specific purpose, right? So that, people like Cory Booker, black people, would never have the same liberties as white people. Like, Cory Booker's doing this right now in this very moment against no bill, no policy. It is so perfectly Democrat Party, like modern day Democrat Party. By the way, Strom was also a Democrat, ironically enough, a Dixiecrat.
Would the senator yield for a question?
Chuck Schumer, it's the only time in my life I can tell you no.
I just want to tell you a question. Do you know you have just broken the record? Do you know how proud this caucus is of you? Do you know how proud America is of you?
All right, search Rosario Dawson on Twitter. Cory Booker just asked his girlfriend, Rosario Dawson, why his girlfriend likes Bernie more than him. This is the throwing themselves on the railroad tracks they promised? No, it's not, because there's no train. No, this is Cory Booker throwing himself on the railroad track after the train killed like 30 families and then passed by, and he knows there's no new train coming. And it's crazy that, oh God, liberals are eating, dude. Liberals are eating this. We all laughed at him, but who's laughing now? I don't even like Cory Booker, but this is exactly the kind of performance shit Democrats should have been doing when there's more substantial option available. Also, this is why it's nice to have senators under the age of 70. I mean, that is true. So do you hate this stuff? Because I don't know personally.
When we decided to do this
the only
days
thing
ago,
that I get annoyed by is that Democrats think this is a pure optics play, which is fine. I don't have an issue with a pure optics play. Okay? But Democrats, like the base, will get really excited at this and will go, oh, okay, you've given us nothing, but we're happy that you're at least like wasting energy. He's not delaying anything. There's no like bill that he is delaying. I mean, if he goes long enough, maybe he can. Eventually, they're going to have to pass a bill. He'll delay that.
Funding goes below 90%. They stopped the Medicaid expansion. My staff really worked hard to not make this just Democratic voices, to make it people in our country, that Republicans and Democrats You heard mentioned in the speech the Cato Institute, the Manhattan Institute, all people who are honest arbiters and are saying that what Trump is doing is wrong. That
No, Manhattan Institute is not an honest arbiter. What the f is wrong with you? They are literally responsible for Christopher Rufo, DEI, CRT. All of that came from the Manhattan Institute. God damn, I hate liberals. Oh my God. You don't have to hand it to the Manhattan Institute, man. Even with Cato, when it comes to immigration, sure, but Cato is a libertarian think tank. The f are you talking about?
So will the good senator from New Jersey yield for a question?
I don't think it's a net negative. It's a net negative if the Democrats are like, this is the way, which is a filibuster without any real direction, any bill, okay, and just simply an optics play. Then it's a net negative. It's a net positive if the Democrats recognize the popular momentum behind even fucking optics plays like this that causes them to go, okay, we have to resist. We have to resist no matter what. Like, we have to do something, anything. So as it stands, it's a net neutral, I will say. It's positive because at least the Democrats are doing something. Holy f. But if the lessons that they learn from this, which is likely to be the lesson that they will learn from this, is that we don't really have to do anything. We just have to like optically make moves like this, like make PR moves like this and say Trump is bad. We're against Donald Trump, but never at a moment when they actually have to do it. And I know people are going to fucking yell at me and say, Hasan, you're such a leftist nuisance, blah, blah, blah. Like he is doing something bold and brave or whatever. But you have to understand, this should have happened last week or 2 weeks ago. This should have happened against the continued resolution. That's where they should have filibustered. A filibuster without a bill that they're stopping is not a filibuster. It's just yapping. Part of Booker's comm job as Senate Dem leadership is to help his caucus gain exposure and traction in DC dominated by Trump GOP. Seems like the mission at least somewhat accomplished.
My state is that some of that community violence. There are people in this room, I know so many of you, and I know on the other side that have done such great work to work with our colleagues to find common ground and get really important programs passed that bring resources to families. And it's being clawed back by our president, not with consultation, not with a hearing, not with a discussion of even why you would target Alzheimer's research. That is a violation of the separation of powers. And I wish my Republican colleagues would hold more hearings about that. These are programs that they like. I saw that with USAID. I worked with Marco Rubio on some of that programs and those investments that are now been cut and clawed back.
Yeah, I wonder why.
So it's a separation of powers issues. It's an offense to the common goals that we share in this community of leaders. But the second reason it bothers me is an article I read hours ago by Fareed Zakaria.
He wants Schumer's spot so bad. This has to be at least just a little selfish to push for that leadership spot, right? I mean, he's not filibustering anything, chatters. He's not. He's just filibustering some bitches, okay? He's not filibustering anything. My analysis of Congress is that every single one of them, even the ones I like, okay, and there's not many, is that they're all a bunch of vultures, lecherous sharks, okay? And therefore, that is the framework that I analyze their movements through. For me, right now, there's a knife fight behind the scenes in the Democratic Party for who will lead the way in 2028. That's why Chris Murphy is doing what he's been doing. I'm sure he's not very excited about what Cory Booker has been doing as well, because it kind of takes away from what he's been trying to do. And that's why Cory Booker's been doing this. Okay? That's it. It's not the party propping him up. He's using the influence that he has as a senator to be able to do such things. That's it. Yeah, that's also the reason why Chuck Schumer inserted himself in that last moment to tell him that he was there for the record break. Yeah, Cory Booker has received $750,000 from the Israel lobby, for the record, just pointing that out. There's a reason why apparently in the 24 hours that he was doing this record-breaking filibuster against nothing, he mentioned Israel as well. Cory Booker is doing this filibuster is not to actually fill time to prevent the passage of a bill, but the reason why he's doing this is because he wants the media cycle that has been dominated. This is his own comms team, okay? His own comms team has said that the reason why they're doing this is because they want to fight back in the messaging space that has been completely dominated by right-wing sentiment. Now, I agree with that initiative. I think this is something that you have to do. It also has to be associated or tacked along with like real direct action. When you're in power, it has to also follow up with real policy that you can push through. Or when you're not in power, it has to be disruptive. It has to be directional. It has to stop a bill from passing, or the platform that you're using and the messages that you put out there have to be disruptive against the Trump administration's dangerous agendas. A big part of what they were supposed to do in this process is a call to action, to mobilize, to remind people of all of the awful things that the Trump administration is doing in terms of like erosion of due process, attacks against colleges, attacks against education across the board, attacks against law firms, which he briefly mentioned as well. Outside of that, it just turns into a circle jerk.